Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by drroto.com. Get your daily prescription of fantasy sports. I am Sam Holt, joined as always by my wonderful co-host Derek Tate. Derek, how the hell are you? We are a week away from football.
How many days is that?
Like 8.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Wednesday right now, but when this airs, it's Thursday, so technically 7 days.
technically 7 days. And, I'm not used to this, but my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions, get to open the season against the Dallas Cowboys and whoop their ass on national television.
You must be so excited.
I am. Can you believe that ESPN actually had a list that ranked Dak Prescott ahead of Tom Brady?
The audacity?
Come on.
I mean, my goodness, the disrespect.
Come on.
Crying out loud.
Get out of here. I'm definitely ready.
Does Tom need one more chip on his shoulder? Probably not.
Yeah, I did a college football highlight tonight. I even went full announcer voice right there, like college football, it's back. And I slammed the table. I was like, "We are back!" I did like a clap and hot into the microphone and everything. Yeah, it's a little bit too much, but that's just me. I'm too excited. We got football back, and speaking of football, fantasy football is back as of next week. So, but we got a lot of cuts, a lot of roster moves, and a lot of movers and shakers heading into the final week of draft week.
Absolutely. I want to talk about one cut specifically that surprised a lot of people this week, and one injury that definitely caught us all off guard. So let's kick it off first with quarterbacks and the surprise of the week, although not for everyone, because our own Doc called this. He called this. I mean, of course he would. He's Doc. He's going to always he's going to call these crazy things, and it's going to happen. So if you're not following Doc on Twitter and on everything and haven't subscribed yet to drroto.com, you absolutely should, because everyone there knows their stuff. So Doc predicted this, but they cut Cam Newton on the Patriots. It is Mac Jones' whole game. He is running the Patriots offense. Him and Bill Belichick just holding hands, skipping through a field. Did you see this coming? I'm still surprised.
I think when you invest a first round pick, in particular Bill Belichick, invest a first round pick in anybody, that kind of tips the hand of they want this person to be a big part of whatever their plans are for that season and beyond, in particular the quarterback position. And we saw that they brought Cam back on like a 1-year deal. So the writing was kind of on the wall that, they're not committing to Cam Newton long term. Sure. I kind of feel like Cam still kind of got a little bit of a bad rap last year. I mean, look at what he had to work with as far as weapons go. So the point is, I mean, Doc did kind of diagnose this one, to kind of throw a Dr. Pun in there. He kind of diagnosed the situation appropriately. And he's high on Mac Jones. I'm not high on Mac for like fantasy purposes. Cam, on the other hand, he's now available, and he's probably the best quarterback on the open market. But I didn't think he'd be released. I thought he had a very good preseason, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm a little bit surprised. But that whole 5 days of having to be away from the football team, maybe they saw enough in practice to go ahead and feel comfortable with Mac Jones. And that kind of was like what sealed Cam's fate there in New England.
Sure. But I mean, just to cut him completely, not even to say, okay, you know what, we're starting with Mac this in week 1. We're just going to start with him and you're going to ride the bench. Like, that to me was a big, cold shoulder. Everyone's saying, Bill Belichick's going to go and cold-heartedly make the cuts. What's the quote from draft day? I'm going to do what's best for my team. Like, that's kind of the whole mentality that Bill had going into this week. It was just going to do what's best for the team. So that's it's so cold. I'm cold, and I'm in California, and it's always hot here.
I'd need a blankie for Cam. And I'm sure Cam's got like some sort of something in his wardrobe that pretty much represents a blanket or something, because that guy's just got everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But Cam, unfortunately, just a little bit of a bad rap / I would call it a very unsuccessful, tenure there in New England. But, to go ahead and fantasy diagnose the situation, reassess it now, right? Yeah. Who's the biggest winner from this entire situation?
I mean, I'm going to say it's the running back core and the pass catchers, and it's got to be James White, Damian Harris. They're going to be seeing an uptick in targets and an uptick in opportunities to finish at the goal line, where otherwise Cam would have run at him himself. So to me, they're the biggest beneficiaries right off the bat. in terms of immediate value you're going to see in your drafts if you're still drafting this
I think
weekend.
you diagnosed it perfectly. When it comes to tip of the hat. No, so it's not often I agree with you, but I mean, there you go.
Sure.
Damian Harris in particular, though, right? No Sony Michel around. I believe that he's going to be the easy early down back, in particular short yardage work. Sure, James White will be sprinkled in here and there when they just decide to go no huddle, or it's late in the half or something like that. But
It's Bill. He loves James White.
Does, and James White's a nice player, and in particular, though, Damian Harris probably has an exposure and a realistic opportunity to probably punch in another 2 to 5 short yardage tutties that would probably be eaten up by Cam Newton, because certainly Mac Jones is not going to be doing any sort of quarterback powers from inside the 3-yard line. So,
Absolutely.
So I mean, Damian Harris is the winner, but also Mac, I think that I'm not going to say he's further along than where Cam Newton is, but does a lot of things between the ears, able to diagnose and get the ball out of his hands. At least that's what we saw consistently out of the University of Alabama, and we saw glimpses of it in the preseason. So,
So would you even give an uptick to Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers?
I would say Jacoby Myers, because I'm not going to say that Nelson Aguilar is a one-trick pony and just gets downfield, but I think that that's probably the strength of his game. Jacoby, I think, is going to probably benefit the most, and maybe James White. So those two in particular, as far as their passing volume goes.
Gotcha. And then in terms of where you see Cam going this year, I mean, I think there's definitely plenty of teams that have made a lot of deep cuts at their rosters, and they could stand to benefit from someone with his wealth of knowledge, but also that fits well into the scheme. I mean, I've got a couple teams written down here that I think kind of make a lot of sense. Like the Ravens, maybe? I'm thinking actually makes sense, because if you look at their depth chart right now, behind Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley.
I get it. No, we're talking about depth, though, and I mean, and obviously with what Greg Roman's offense does there, with one of the most complex running schemes that's been, I don't think anybody's really been able to fully diagnose it. They've definitely hit some speed bumps in the playoffs, but I mean, Cam's rushing capabilities certainly
I think it fits well there.
Could, yeah. That's one place that's an interesting, backup in particular for Lamar Jackson, who has proved durable during his NFL career, but certainly with how much rushing duties he handles in that offense, certainly exposes himself to more hits. So having a competent backup, in particular one that is arguably the best dual threat quarterback we've ever seen in Cam Newton, certainly, intrigues me. I think if he wants to play, though, Houston makes sense.
Houston's another one that I have written down, just because, I mean, and it's no offense to Tyrod Taylor, but he's now on his 5th team. So I just kind of wonder, and I know that he's been bounced around a lot. He's kind of been a forever backup, but I kind of wonder if Houston's still trying to figure things out, because obviously we still don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. He did make the cut on the 53-man roster, so he is on the team, but there is speculation that he is on the team, but he will not play a single.
He's going to be a healthy scratch unless they trade him. So
absolutely. So someone like Cam also makes sense for them, because if they're still trying to, figure different things out with that offense with Tyrod, I don't know. I just kind of don't want him to go to Houston, because I feel like that's where players just go to not do anything right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's a hot mess. And
it's a hot dumpster fire.
The thing is, even if they were to sign Cam Newton today, we're 1 week away from the start of the NFL season, 10 days if you're playing on Sunday. Right. And quarterback is not a position, unless you're coming from the exact same system, same offensive coordinator that you've played with before, that learning that verbiage, a new language, how to get in and out of the huddle by calling the plays, that stuff does not happen overnight. So I still think, though, Cam, for me, makes sense to go ahead and probably wait to find out if somebody like a contender suffers like a major injury to a quarterback. a la maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger.
How dare you? How dare you wish ill on my team in any sense?
I'm not wishing ill.
You
I'm just
knock on
saying.
something. You knock on something nearby.
I have
Thank
a
you.
wooden table. I have a wooden table. Okay. I mean, I apologize, but I'm just saying Ben's up there in age. He's had plenty of injuries and nicks and bruises and all
Broken
kinds of
ribs,
stuff throughout a Hall of
knees,
Fame career.
broken foot.
And unless you feel good about Dwayne Haskins behind him, I believe that Cam can come in and just in case something goes wrong with Ben, can sit there, learn the offense, and be called upon with I think, a contending roster there in the AFC.
And this isn't to say that I have all the faith in the world in Dwayne Haskins, but I just hope Ben doesn't get hurt because I feel like if Cam was a starting quarterback for the Steelers, the value of my wide receivers would just plummet. Najee Harris would still be incredibly viable and usable in all senses of the term because Cam was fantastic with another amazing pass catching running back that I think a lot of people still remember his name, Christian McCaffrey. I think that he's still, not saying that Najee Harris is Christian McCaffrey, but he has comparable skill set that I can easily be utilized in a similar way, and the offense would just run through him. But I don't want to wear the tires out on my brand new running back that quickly. Like, no.
I get it. I'm just thinking that Cam Newton's probably never had that level of a trio of receivers before in his career.
Sure.
So, I mean, anyway, I'm throwing out suggestions to quarterbacks that don't have clear backups and have had durability issues in the past. And, I'm not wishing it upon Ben Roethlisberger. I'm simply stating that it is in the realm of outcomes.
I will take it less personally. Thank you.
Thank you.
But one more team just quickly. The Washington football team behind Ryan Fitzpatrick.
If Ron Rivera wanted him, he could have got him last year.
This is true. I'm like, that little connection, or is it just like I deleted your number, never again?
I believe that Ron has made it pretty obvious at this point. Kind of like unfollowed him on social media, maybe even blocked him in a couple places. Like time to move on from that. But I understand. So that I understand though, because there's a familiarity with the two. But I just think that if it was going to happen, it was going to happen last year.
So we're not going to make Cam Newton happen with the Washington football team, just like we're not going to try and make fetch happen here on the fantasy debate. We are going to move on. Moving on. Just to button it up then, Mac Jones' fantasy value this year in a 2 quarterback format, would you throw him on the bench? Maybe?
No.
In a dynasty format, would you grab him just to throw him on a deep bench?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. It's important for people to hear that distinction because you hear someone's got the starting job and they think, oh, that means they're viable. No, there's plenty of other quarterbacks that are viable. Don't go crazy and throw him on your draft board like some insane person.
Patriots want to run the football and play defense. That's how they want to win football games. So
science.
Just it doesn't equal a whole lot of fantasy success for a rookie quarterback.
It doesn't, no, absolutely. But exciting to see what this young quarterback can do with that offense and who he can connect with in the right wide receiver core, who he's going to get a connection with to actually have some success. That's fun, exciting to see, but not a gamble that you want to take on your fantasy roster.
He did a whole lot of high level stuff at Alabama, between the ears, getting the ball out of his hands. I think he's an accurate thrower of the football. So yeah, no, I'm pumped to see that they've already made the commitment to him, and we're going to see what Mac Jones has to offer in 2021 and beyond.
Absolutely. And beyond, is that a Toy Story reference right there?
I didn't try to. I mean,
you didn't try to, but I can hear it. Don't
I watching too many kids movies with Baby K. My apologies.
No, that's okay. I'm here for it. You know me. Let's move on to the injury heard around the league this past weekend, which was JK Dobbins, obviously tearing his ACL. Condolences. Right. Obviously, he's young. He's going to come back from this injury. Getting hurt this time of the year, I feel like he'll make a full recovery in order to get back in time for next season. Mm-hmm. He's an amazingly talented back. Hopefully he has a speedy, wonderful recovery. A lot of backs do come back from this injury. It's not the end of a career like it used to be. So
well wishes. Yeah. No, well wishes and speedy recovery.
Absolutely. And then the person that's taking, all of the carries after him, next man up on the roster is Gus Edwards. And so he is firing up and down draft boards all over the place. I just had a draft today where I took him in the fifth. And for a second, I thought it was too high, but comparing ADPs, it looks like I took him exactly where I should.
Right now, I'm not hesitant to throw a fourth or a fifth rounder in a 12-team league. In fact, I'm in a standard. I'm okay even taking him in like the third. I don't know if I'd get him
standard
in a
specifically.
standard league. I would definitely 100% be okay taking him in the third. Just such a run heavy scheme. I mean,
run first offense if there ever was one.
And Gus is a downhill physical runner that meshes well with a lot of those read concepts that get him moving downhill and makes the defense have to make business decisions really damn quick. And you better be sound in your gap assignments. Otherwise, the Ravens are going to run the football down your throat for over 200 yards in a game. So Gus is going to do his thing. Now, the battle behind Gus, because this offense has sustained multiple running backs before. So, I mean, Gus and Mark Ingram once upon a time, Gus and JK Dobbins last year for moments, even with all the contributions from Lamar Jackson. So now who's the guy? It looks like it's Tyson Williams, believe it or not. Like, yeah, I mean, he leapfrogged Justice Hill. So I even think he's worth like a late round dart throw in fantasy drafts just to see what his role is to open the year.
I mean, that's a really great point. I mean, obviously, you kind of think, well, why would I roll the dice on someone like that? But if you're picking up someone like Tyson Williams, even Justice Hill at the very end of a draft, it's a worthwhile flyer, like we said, on a run-heavy team. And last year, when Gus wasn't even the featured back, he still had 144 attempts, which was his high for his career, and he had 6 touchdowns, and that was behind JK Dobbins, playing second fiddle to him. So he was still having a heavy amount of volume. Now he's not going to have the receptions that you want in PPR at all. He had 9 last year. That's nothing to get excited about. But like you said, he's a downhill runner. He's going to have the attempts. He's going to get fed the ball early and often. But
I just wonder if he's going to see 200 plus carries. And if he sees 200 plus carries in this offense, then we're talking about a guy who's, flirting potentially with his touchdown potential with somewhere around a top 12 finish. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. It's just, what is that role going to be from another contributor in that backfield? Does another back contribute in that backfield? We will see.
Absolutely. No, that's something that people need to pay attention to, just because that is the scheme that they run. And if it's not going to be Gus, it's going to be someone else. If it's not Lamar, that's just going to open up the field at the back for them. And that's it's potential attempts that if you are strapped at running back and we start seeing a certain player rise, you don't want to be missing that train.
Correct. So I just think it's Gus Edwards, though, right now, he presents a lot of interesting decisions for fantasy drafters right now. Like, what do you do? Is it either or? Like, it's a tough call. I mean, Gus in the offense all of a sudden has a brand new ceiling. I know we talked about it way back when on our running back special. Who do we like? I liked him late round. You didn't like it. The situation has changed drastically.
Has changed. I like it
drastically. Yes. So, I mean, it's going to look really good on my fantasy football receipt, but
Yeah. And because of you, I took him really late in a draft that I had the week before this injury. So I stashed him on a bench for like $2 in a salary league. So
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate it came at the expense of JK Dobbins.
It is. You never want to see it. You don't want to see it. No one wants to see it.
No,
it's not fair.
Exactly.
But when you're looking at where he's sitting, so in that 5th, 4th round, you're saying in standard you'd be okay with taking him in the 3rd.
I would.
And that's because of, the low floor that he has for receiving in a standard league. Obviously, you don't have to worry about those single points per reception that you do in PPR. So when you're looking at that from the PPR lens, getting that lens back on, and you're looking at who else is around in the 5th round, Kareem Hunt, obviously, to me, kind of tips the scales in a better favor in PPR because I think he's going to be getting a lot more receptions than Gus Edwards. So if you're sitting there in the 5th looking for a running back, I mean, for me, I would prefer Kareem Hunt.
In a PPR, it would be hard to pass on Kareem Hunt, even though I'll ask you, do you see Tyson Williams or Justice Hill? Do you see either of them seeing 100 carries?
No, but I mean, each Dobbins and Edwards last year had over 100 carries.
But that's what I'm saying, though. I mean,
So,
that's
like, it could happen.
that's JK Dobbins, though. I mean, Dobbins was a second-round pick out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, again, two different draft pedigrees, two different levels of talent. I'm not saying Tyson Williams is a scrub or anything, or Justice
No.
Hill. I'm just simply saying that they'll get Gus Edwards off the field on third downs. Outside of that, in a run-heavy scheme, it's going to be mostly Gus Edwards on first and second down, which is a very variable thing for a running back.
Absolutely.
So I would still go Kareem Hunt in the PPR, though.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. I'm going to be coming out with a buy, sell, hold article next week, and Gus Edwards will be on it. He will be on my sell list, and that's as in terms of selling high to a sad JK Dobbins owner. You capitalize.
There's a lot of sad shareholders out there. So,
because a lot of people that took Gus Edwards prior to this got him at a very cheap price. So I think that you can benefit most in this situation on someone that maybe drafted 0 RB and they're kind of looking and sitting and seeing who's going to be bringing in those first week points and maybe not that excited about it. So I'm thinking that could be someone that you'd want to sell to capitalize on. So look for those owners that maybe aren't sitting as pretty at running back right now. Maybe they're a little bit nervous and maybe you can capitalize on that. Not saying to take advantage of people, but it's fantasy football. We're here to win.
It is fantasy football. So, and the market changes, as you can see already, it changes drastically week to week. So capitalize on it.
Capitalize on it. And you have a great pedigree to go and, sell him on. He is the number one running back on a run first offense. Well, why don't you want him? Because I have other people. So
sometimes it's really that simple.
Sometimes it really is. Now, I just had a work draft tonight. This is airing tomorrow. So yesterday I had a work draft and like I said, I took Gus Edwards in the 5th round, but I was going back and forth in the 2nd and the 3rd. And I ended up taking Josh Allen in the 3rd because I was drafting with a bunch of people that decided, let's just take all the running backs, and just kind of messed up my scheme a little bit. I was like, none of you are drafting the way that you should. Did someone take a kicker? I just was confused. So when it gets that way, it can be a bit disconcerting. But when you're looking at the 2nd round and you're looking at running backs to take, I'm looking at the top end of the 2nd round in ADP formats, and I'm seeing Najee Harris, who went in the 1st. So I didn't even get a look at him, which made me sad.
Wow.
It was brutal. It was brutal. But I was also looking down the barrel at Joe Mixon, and I say down the barrel because you know how I feel about Joe Mixon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Chris Carson. David Montgomery wasn't there. It was just, and he would have been someone I wanted in that next top tier, just based on the volume that I see coming with Justin Fields. So for me, should I have not hedged my bets and not been so scared of getting Joe Mixon, or would it have been okay to take him there?
It would have been okay. Personally, I know how you just described it, but that tier, I would have gone I'm going David Montgomery. Then I'm going, who else did you say was in the tier? Joe Mixon and who else? Clyde
Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson.
Okay. So I'm going Montgomery, Carson, Mixon, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I went Cook and Calvin Ridley. I ended up pivoting and just going wide receiver because I didn't want to make that decision, as one does, and you let the draft fall to you, right? And then I went Josh Allen, and then I went CeeDee Lamb because he ended up falling because everyone got concerned.
Far away from CeeDee Lamb to fall.
Yeah, it's because he had a little red O next to his name, and everyone's like, "What happened? Is he out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, clearly." And then I'm just looking. He's on the COVID list. He's fine. So I ended up benefiting from no one really understanding what the red O meant. So,
Well played.
Hey, this is how we win. And that's how I ended up with Gus in the 5th. So you just got to clean up the way you can and, let the draft fall to you. It feels like stealing a little bit to take CeeDee.
I mean, it also played well for me in a 16-team league where I got James Robinson 3rd. Like, when Travis Etienne got hurt, so it happens. You just got to let it fall to you.
I know. you're just so dang lucky and
I
glad
was
that you got
lucky
to
in that
bring.
league. I was definitely lucky in that
You were
league.
just also grateful that you got to bring that up one more time. Now, let me just look at wide receivers in that second, third round tier, and we'll just
Okay.
end it there because I feel like a lot of people go back and forth. And I know we talk about we always have to have a plan when you're going to these drafts, but obviously the draft is going to fall to you how it does. And in my situation, I wasn't ready to make that pivot or make that pick at running back with what was given to me. So I pivoted and I knew who I loved in that second tier for wide receivers. So I knew I was safe with my Calvin Ridley pick. So when you're looking in that second round, obviously you've got Hopkins, Ridley, Metcalf, obviously, and also Metcalf went fourth in this league. I don't know how that happened.
Overall?
Yeah. It's
Oh.
because someone had Seahawks in their name. I don't know. It was
I
clearly
mean,
I'm wrong.
I get it. DK is a beast, but I
But-
mean, damn.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. I will stop digressing and get back to the task at hand. So,
D-Hop,
Hopkins,
Ridley, Metcalf.
Metcalf, and Justin Jefferson. Looking at just that chunk of the four, who's your favorite of those that you would rather have?
Pure PPR, give me D-Hop. I mean, look, I understand the upside with all these guys. I mean, Jefferson's dealing with that AC sprain. So I'm that to me, just kind of makes it easy to eliminate him from that tier, right?
Yeah.
I expect him to still have a great year, but I don't want somebody injured heading into the year. So DK, as much as I love DK, and I think he's the best deep threat of all these three players. They're all great, but I just think the volume that you're going to get with DeAndre Hopkins makes me feel far more secure with what his PPR floor is. I mean, if you're asking me who has the best chance to catch 120 passes this year, my money's on D-Hop.
Yeah.
And then the yardage output going to be similar, maybe not as high per reception because DK and Calvin Ridley are fantastic, deep vertical threats.
Yeah.
But have we seen Calvin Ridley in a number one capacity before facing double teams all the time and facing the other team's opposing number one all the time? We haven't, not consistently. I think he can do it
consistently, but you saw flashes of it last year when Julio was in and out. As a Julio owner, I'm aware of how often he was out, so that sucked. But I do feel like Ridley can sustain this wide receiver one handsomely.
Ridley's a baller, and he's one of the best route runners in the league. It's not me trying to throw shade at Calvin Ridley. I'm just saying the range of outcomes with a new offense, with no Julio on the other side to take away coverage and attention from Calvin, certainly leaves a little bit of unknown there.
Yeah.
DK to me is right behind D-Hop. So I got a D-Hop, DK, and then Calvin.
Gotcha. All right. Now this next little chunk, I feel like these three are a little bit closer for me, and then these other two are neck and neck in terms of who would I rather. So AJ Brown, Keenan Allen, and CeeDee Lamb, I feel like in terms of volume and targets alone, they're very close for me.
Okay.
Crazy? No?
I wouldn't say you're crazy. I just, with Mike Williams already kind of banged up, they're in Los Angeles, and Keenan Allen just being, a machine as far as being able to generate space and is one of the best route runners in the league. I personally have Keenan at the higher end of all these guys.
Yeah.
And in fact, I even have Keenan above Justin Jefferson and Calvin Ridley. So, I mean,
that's spicy.
I'm super high. I'm super high on Keenan. Like,
are you high?
Look, no, I'm not high right now. I feel like I'm high. I feel like I've been up so long that I feel like I'm kind of delirious. But no, Keenan in particular, his PPR volume, like target volume, all those things with Justin Herbert, who we all think is going to be as good, if not hopefully better than what we saw in his rookie year.
Yeah.
I think that Keenan Allen provides an incredible floor with an insanely high ceiling as far as just pure reception numbers go. And then we talk about CD. I got CD higher than AJ Brown. It's nothing against AJ Brown, but they just upgraded from Corey Davis to Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Different play caller. We'll see if it has any effect on that offense. AJ Brown is certainly among the very most talented wide receivers, and I love watching him play. I just don't know how that target share is going to shake out with Julio Jones in town. Like,
Yeah. Who's a pretty good wide receiver from what I'm told. When healthy.
correct. And I actually think that CeeDee Lamb is, I think he's going to emerge as the wide receiver to own in Dallas this year. My gut tells me that he saw a lot more work in the slot than Amari Cooper did. He's just, I think he's special. So to me, in a team that's going to be playing from behind the lot and does not have Derrick Henry, the best pure running back in the National Football League to hand the football to 300 plus times. Yeah, give me CeeDee Lamb and an offense that's probably going to be throwing the ball quite a bit.
All right, last one, and then we will sign off. Allen Robinson or Robert Woods. I know how you feel about Justin Fields, so I have to throw in Robinson just to see if we get another little bit of that Tate fire for Fields. I know that you're excited for him, even though he's not starting week 1.
He's not starting week 1. I'm still going to stick to my guns when it comes to this. Allen Robinson is my man, and it's not that Robert Woods can't ball, and I'm excited to see what he can do with Matthew Stafford. I really am. But Cooper Kupp is still there. Yeah. I actually like Tyler Higbee. Can I say it?
Yes. Like we need to it's kind of like we need to say his name every time we record a podcast.
I do. Yeah, it's true. He's like high school. Shout out. Hi, Higgs. I almost called him Tiggs. Tyler Higbee. T. Higgs. Yeah, sorry. I used to love saying his name at East Lake High School, too. It was cool.
All right. Well, if you want to do a prop bet maybe then for the end of the season between Allen Robinson and Robert Woods, because I would prefer Robert Woods between.
Okay. I mean, just give me the sales pitch why.
My sales pitch why is because I don't want to say 2 words, but I'm going to say 2 words. Sean McVay offense. Sean McVay, high-powered offense with a quarterback who's got a cannon for an arm and crazy accuracy when it comes to an efficient target. And Robert Woods is nothing if not an efficient target that's going to make a play after the catch. He is a baller, shot caller. Love me, Robert Woods.
Okay. No, I believe that McVay, who is one of the best play callers, offensive minds in the National Football League, is going to continue to do what he did last year. And every year that he's been the leading man there calling the shots in Los Angeles, it's just that he's going to have a guy that is not going to play uber conservative. He's going to push the football down the field when McVay dials up some of the best play action concepts that you can get in the National Football League. And Stafford is not going to shy away from taking his shots.
No. And he's got some great receivers to work with. So I'm going to say that Robert Woods is going to finish the season with more fantasy points than Allen Robinson.
Okay. Justin Fields may have a little something to say about that.
The only thing that's going to work in my favor is the longer they keep him on the bench.
I was going to say, you go ahead and take your victory lap on Robert Woods over Allen Robinson the first month of the season. Yeah, that's going to be the tortoise and the hare. Allen Robinson's going to, he's going to get off to his slow. Hey, Robinson's not even going to get off to a slow start. Andy Dalton's still going to have to feed him the damn football, and it's not going to change when Justin Fields gets under center.
I still think Robert Woods is going to have more fantasy points.
All right, but what do you?
I love my Bobby Trees.
What's a fun bet that we can do on it?
Let's do a hat bet.
Okay.
I could use another Steelers hat. I only have 5.
I bought one that was too big for the Bucks, so. I don't know how you get too big for these ears, but it was.
We'll have to get you a new hat if you win, but I like the snapbacks. So when you go to buy me a hat, just know I like snapbacks.
I'm more of a, fitted type of guy. I wish I would have got the snapback though. I really wish, because I could have adjusted it.
Amazing.
So they wasted money.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate. Check out all the other content, seasonal and DFS tools, as well as premium access to our staff for all your fantasy sports questions in the members only Discord right here at drroto.com. And don't forget to subscribe, pick up your draft kit. If you have a draft coming this weekend, the draft kit has everything you could possibly need. It's got projections, rankings, everything you need to know about the rookies, absolutely anything you will need to win this season, plus DFS tools. There's just so much stuff. If you want to win, you should just subscribe because
Do it.
you'll win. Absolutely. But
Let's do it.
if you guys want to follow Derek, you can follow him at DTater4 on all forms of social. You can follow me on Twitter at Samantha R. Holt. Guys, have a wonderful night.
Till next time, everybody. Later, says the Tater. See you in a week.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.